Welcome to part one of our digestion video. Make sure you know everything that is highlighted. Um, you need the handout, so if you did not pick this up at school, you should print it from my Google Classroom because you need to know how to label the digestive system. It's super easy to do on paper, a little bit harder to do online, but up to you. I'm not going to talk through every slide. You do need to pause and write down everything that's highlighted. My piece here is to add a few stories to make this more interesting and some tricks to help you remember it. So you can write down my extra stuff. So if you haven't taken the notes, pause before I talk, write down what's on the screen, and then go back and add in my extra stuff. First extra thing, which actually is part of your notes, um, this is a closed system. So the good thing there is anything nasty you put in your mouth goes right through and will come out the other end. So if you want to swallow a marble, I don't suggest it because it could make you get choke or it could choke you up right here. Anyway, it will come right out the other end. Obviously, nutrients and water will get absorbed into our bloodstream, but the bulk of what we eat goes right out the bottom. Another reason you should wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. So listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how I almost died, how my uncle did die. In the process of that, I will tell you how to prevent dying, or I will save your life a couple times. I'll also tell you the worst way to die. This will be a long lecture because of all my good stories, but I'm hoping it will help you remember everything. So you need to know all of this stuff. Remember, physical change, you're making something smaller. Chemical change, you're turning it into something new. So we are going to talk about how those three macromolecules got digested: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Remember, those are polymers made up of monomers. So these chemical digestion breaks that polymer into a monomer. I will talk about homeostasis as we go through. Obviously, super important theme of balance in life and how does our digestive system help. So lots to learn here, but here we go. These are just some fun facts. If you want to know how long your digestive system takes, we can't digest that outer shell of a kernel of corn because we're not a cow. We don't have the right kind of stuff. That comes out whole at the other end. So if you eat some corn, look for it at the other end of your digestive tube. Then you can count the hours it took for your system to work, but it takes a long time. So basically, we are all full of, anyway. Okay, so if you don't have the notes, you're making a table where you need these headings. These are the things you have to know about each part of the system. And a way to remember this. So anytime you see the ending ASE, that is an enzyme. Enzymes are made in our cells, they are protein molecules, and they speed up chemical reactions in our body. If we didn't have these enzymes to help us digest food, you would smell like a garbage can because that food would sit in your stomach for so long trying to break down that it would just kind of start to rot. So we have to have these enzymes to make digestion happen faster. And amylase is our first one. I remember it is in your saliva, which is in your mouth, because Amy is a girl and girls seem to like to talk a lot. Not that that's necessarily true, but that's my trick to remember. And Amy also likes to eat donuts. So I'm a girl. I love donuts. They're my favorite food group. And I'm not really a big talker, but girls like to talk. Girls like donuts. That's my trick to remember. If you can gleek, so make that stream of saliva come out from underneath your tongue, you have an advanced muscle down here where you can contract this salivary gland. I can't do that. I do, however, have an advanced muscle by my ears. I can make my ears wiggle. Some people can't do that. But salivary glands make saliva. That is your first chemical digester, and it digests carbohydrates in your mouth. Your teeth and your tongue are there to also help with the physical digestion. Salivary glands, again, that's what makes our saliva. Couple interesting things. You may or may not be a plaque toothed person, but that depends on the acidity in your saliva. So even if your food is the same and you brush your teeth equally, somebody else may naturally have more or less plaque on their teeth because of the chemical components in their saliva. Lots of bacteria live in your mouth, and your colonies of bacteria are affected by your saliva, and that bacteria is why we have bad breath. So depending on what kind of saliva you had, how acidic it is, or how much you produce, you're going to have different flavors of breath. So lots of chemical relationships in your mouth. The saliva also helps moisten our food, but really doesn't do anything except to make amylase for what you're going to be tested on. Also know that food doesn't go into a salivary gland. It goes right down your throat. In the first place it goes is your pharynx, which is where air and food both mix. And below that, below your pharynx, we separate into the esophagus, which is the food tube, or the larynx, which is the air tube. So, not a whole lot to know. This is where it gets interesting. There's a piece of cartilage at the top of your trachea called the epiglottis. The epiglottis is attached to a muscle at the base of your tongue. When you swallow, food should hit the top of that epiglottis, and that muscular action of your tongue helping you swallow will tell this to shut. When the epiglottis closes, it protects your windpipe from getting food in it, and then all the food can go down your esophagus. So a better picture here. It's facing the other way, but here's the epiglottis. This little blue thing will shut down and cover this opening to your windpipe. This is where I almost died. So we were having dinner with some friends at their house, and I was eating a fatty piece of meat, and I didn't want to be rude and spit it into a napkin. Took me a long time. I'm chewing and chewing and chewing. I have to take a breath, but then when I took that breath, that food slipped down. So my epiglottis was open and the food lodged right on top of my voice box. This is your voice box right here. Uh, the reason we have different sounding voices is the shape of the tissues in that voice box. Anyway, my food landed right here. I couldn't make any noise. So that's why this is the sign for choking. If food gets stuck in your esophagus, it can feel like you're choking, but you'll be able to make a sound, all right? If you can't make any noise, that is serious. You need somebody to do the Heimlich, which my friend did. That food came flying out of my mouth, shot across their kitchen. It was disgusting. We all cried. Dinner party's ruined. We all went home. Took me a couple years to talk about this because I really thought I was going to die. Nobody was helping me. Anyway, be careful. Don't talk with food in your mouth. It's rude, and also you can risk choking because you're talking and breathing and swallowing food, and sometimes it get mixed up. Laughing is extremely dangerous while you're eating because we need lots of air when we laugh. So here's how I'm saving your life. Number one, have some manners. Don't talk with food in your mouth, and be careful when you're eating with funny people. All right, so here's a picture of your esophagus. It is just a muscular tube. Nothing happens here, but it pushes the food into your stomach. This peristalsis, or that muscular squeezing, is strong enough that you can eat and even drink while you're upside down. We will learn in a minute that your stomach is lined with mucus to protect it from stomach acid, but sometimes that acid creeps up into your esophagus, and that is what heartburn is. It's that acid actually burning a hole in the lining of this muscle. So it's nothing wrong with your heart, but you feel the pain near your heart, which is why it's called that. All right, the stomach is super important. We have physical churning, so breaking up those food into smaller parts. But more importantly, the lining of your stomach makes hydrochloric acid. That acid is so strong it could burn a hole in the carpet. Why doesn't it burn a hole in the lining of your stomach? Because your stomach is lined with mucus. You may have noticed when you throw up that it's very yellow in combination with whatever food you ate. But that yellow stuff you're seeing, you are puking out some of this mucus lining of your stomach. Also, it burns your throat when you throw up because that stomach acid is coming right up with it, and your esophagus and your mouth do not have that protective mucus lining. So, if you throw up, you should brush your teeth as soon as you feel well enough because that acid in your stomach will also eat away at the enamel on your teeth. People that are bulimic, so the eating disorder where you force yourself to throw up, quite often have very bad teeth because of that acid that's constantly coming through their mouth. Hydrochloric acid is super important. There's other things here. Also, your stomach can be really tiny, 2 ounces, so about that big, or it can hold up to a gallon of volume, depending on how much you stretch that muscle. So we'll talk at the end about gastric bypass surgery and putting sleeves or getting your stomach stapled. It's all to try to reduce that size. Basically, you feel full faster and hopefully don't overeat. Another thing, any pain medication like aspirin, ibuprofen, acetaminophen that you take will get absorbed right through the lining of your stomach, so they actually work faster. If you get a really bad headache and take a pain pill, it's usually gone in about a half an hour. So that medicine goes right into your blood through your stomach's lining, and it can infect us a little bit faster. That's also true of alcohol. So I'm going to save your life again. If you drink alcohol, that alcohol first gets absorbed into your bloodstream through the lining of your stomach. So you could drink a lot of alcohol, and before it affects your head or you realize how much you've had to drink, you could have put quite a bit of alcohol into your blood system and actually gotten alcohol poisoning, which you can die from. It usually only happens to young people because they're really stupid and they drink really fast. And all of a sudden, they've got a bunch of alcohol in their blood and they don't even realize they're drunk. So, lots of reasons why you shouldn't drink young, and we'll talk about that when we talk about your nervous system. However, you young people tend to make dumb mistakes and get alcohol poisoning. So, when I was a kid, my babysitter's brother, who was older, 21st birthday, he died. He went out, was drinking with his friends, drank too much too fast. He poisoned himself before he even realized it, and he died from it. So please be careful. I forgot to tell you how my uncle died, and it has to do with alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant and it relaxes your muscles. My uncle, and he was my aunt's second husband, so I really didn't know him that well, but he was an alcoholic. He's in a really fancy restaurant in Cincinnati, Ohio. He chokes because he is drunk. His muscles are very relaxed, and lots of people try to do the Heimlich on him, but his diaphragm was so relaxed they couldn't get enough tension up under his lungs to force that food out of his mouth. So, another reason not to drink: if you choke, it's going to be harder to save you. Worst way to die, imagine this: a knife wound directly into the stomach. So if you get stabbed, people will say, don't pull the knife out because you're going to open up the wound. So if you stab your stomach, you're basically popping a balloon full of acid. All that acid will spill out here into your unprotected body cavity, and it will start to dissolve everything around it. It would be a very slow and painful death. So keep in mind, the stomach is full of acid. It is very strong acid, and it will dissolve anything it gets in touch with, but your stomach is safe because it's lined with mucus. If you get a hole in that mucus, that's how we get an ulcer, which is when that acid eats into our stomach lining. All right, let's do one more, couple slides actually. Pepsi Cola, this is just a fun fact, was actually named after pepsin, which I forgot to bring up totally. Pepsin is another enzyme. It's actually called pepsinase, but pepsinase includes several types of pepsin enzymes. So we're calling this enzyme just plain old pepsin. P for pepsin, P for protein. Pepsin is the enzyme in your stomach that digests protein. Lipase is also made there to start to digest lipids. You don't have to know that one. Anyway, Pepsi is named for the stomach. So we are going to stop here. We'll start with the liver in part 2. See you later. Don't talk with food in your mouth.